to TeCH INNoVaDoR by IEEE Techno Meetup Sri Lanka. This session is organized in parallel to the month of machine learning. Machine learning has become synonymous with the future. It is widely believed to be the next big thing, and many technological giants are focusing on research in the field. It is under such circumstances that we warmly welcome our speaker for the day, Mr. Haritha Thilakarathne. A product of Rajarat University Sri Lanka, he is currently a research scholar and a PhD candidate at La Trobe University, Australia. He has completed numerous projects and worked alongside respected names in the industry such as Microsoft. And he is here to talk about his current project. So Mr. Haritha, thank you for being here. So let's start with talking about the most prominent recent developments in the field of machine learning. So Mr. Haritha, what are the most prominent recent developments in the field of machine learning?
Machine learning has gone through many advanced developments recently. One of the major developments I see in machine learning is reinforcement learning. And with that, I see a very large research and development going on in the areas of unsupervised learning as well as in semi-supervised learning, where the number of labeled data is less. And one of the most recent developments I see, which is very prominent, is the increased volume of the natural language models such as GPT-3, where we can get the idea of analyzing huge natural language tasks as well as understanding human language. When it comes to reinforcement learning, we have the ability to train models that act as actually humans with the rewards and that kind of process, rather than going with supervised or unsupervised machine learning problems. So those are like three major advancements I see in machine learning in the current stage.
So talking of recent developments, you are currently working on an interesting machine learning project. So can you tell our audience about your project and why you chose this field in particular?
Yes, Timira. Machine learning falls under many areas. We can use machine learning in almost every area that we can think of. So the project I'm working on that I like to talk on is with computer vision. So in computer vision, what we do with machine learning is basically understanding what's happening inside an image. But with the project that I'm working on, we are working not only with the images, but with videos. Video analytics is one of the major problems that we have right now because it has been used in many places, such as surveillance and also in robotics, also in sports analytics. So with the PhD, I'm working with Australian Institute of Sport. So with that, I have the chance, or I have the opportunity of working on computer vision problems that directly support for sports analytics. You may wonder why do sports analytics with videos? Sporting is an industry which involves with like $1 million budgets. In that case, getting a competitive advantage towards another team is very much essential. In that space, we need to analyze how our players play on that particular grounds and how our players perform with particular opponent players. Those things need to be analyzed. But the main problem that we faced in those cases are like how to get the data where the humans or the players are moving and how their actions are getting performed. So with that, we firstly thought of putting sensors, like the IoT sensors. But the problem with IoT sensors is we can't use those things in international sporting events. That is against the rules. So the only option we have is using the video footage that we get from the cameras. So with that, we are building models that can understand what the players are doing inside the videos. That basically comes with tracking as well as understanding the individual actions and understanding what the players are doing as a group. So why these things are necessary is to annotate the videos. After annotating these videos are used for strategy building. Mainly right now, in many cases, this is done by humans. But doing annotations from humans is a tedious task. So with that, we use deep learning or the machine learning techniques to analyze these videos. How we doing that thing is pretty interesting. The case is, we have the video input coming into our models. Models are built with deep neural networks. That is why I use the term deep learning. So the models are built with deep neural networks, obviously, because that is kind of like an image classification or image processing task. We are using convolutional neural networks, and to model the temporal dynamics of the players, we use LSTMs plus 1D CNNs. So the video input comes into our model, and it processes the video and tells us in this particular time space, the players are doing, we'll say in a volleyball game, they are doing a left spike, or we'll say in a netball game, they're doing a center pass. So with that, we can easily identify what the players are doing. It's kind of like you have seen the commentaries that's happening in the sporting events. Those are done by humans, but with some improvements of the models that we are building, we can build automated commentary systems that is powered by AI or the deep learning. So that is a very interesting use of using machine learning in the area of sports analytics, where people might not think a lot. And the main difficulty that we faced with those things is the computation power. So we have used GPUs on these things, and when talking on the languages that we have used, uh, like for the students and all, we use open source technologies mostly for these things, mainly Python, and as a deep learning framework we use PyTorch to build these models. And everything is done on GPUs for the computation, because this involves a lot of calculation power. So as I said before, this model that we built for human activity analysis in videos, that gets a video as an input and gives what that particular humans or the players are doing. You might be thinking like, how we going to understand what the human is doing inside the video, or what are the features that we are using. So interestingly, we using the human poses. That means the body joints of the players has been identified through the neural networks that we are using. So those, the temporal and spatial dynamics of those body joints, the movement of those body joints going to tell us so what the player is doing and what the group is doing as a whole. So if a player is spiking to get a volleyball spike, it is has been identified by the pose through the neural networks. So that is one of the interesting projects that we are working on right now, which uses deep learning, which comes under machine learning, to support computer vision as well as in sports analytics.
Right. So thank you for sharing your project with us. It's very inspiring to hear that geography is not a huge limiting factor in following your passion. So let's talk about the challenges you faced and how you managed to overcome them when doing this project.
Yes, Timira. So as I said earlier, in this project, we face many difficulties with the computation power, because when it comes to the 4K video footage that we get as the input, it is a very tedious task to do those calculations. So we are currently employing the state of the art GPU facilities on NVIDIA to do our computations, such as NVIDIA 2080 Ti's. So we are using that GPU power to do the calculations, as well as we are using cloud for our computations. Plus, one of the main difficulties that we faced is making these models in the production environments, running these models in the production environment, because we can't get those huge cloud or the huge GPUs onto the ground and do the computations. So right now we are looking for the opportunities of using NVIDIA Jetson and kind of cloud solutions, plus some kind of computations at the edge, like intelligent at the edge solutions to deploy the models. That is one of the main challenges that we are facing. So right now, like the solution that we are getting is using the cloud as well as using the GPUs to do the computation. Plus, another challenge that we face is the privacy of the data, because there are many privacy compliances that we need to adhere when we doing the research with humans. So mainly GDPR and you name it. There are many privacy concerns that we have to take on. So right now we are working on the models to be more interpretable and preserve the privacy of the players that we get the data from, because that is one of the major concerns when it comes to uh, productionalizing these kind of machine learning models. So those are two main challenges that we faced with this project right now. One is the privacy, the other one is the huge computation power that need to productionalize these models.
Okay, so it sounds like a really well polished project. And do you have any plans on making any further improvements to this?
Yes, we have many plans of improving this project. One of the major areas that we are looking on right now is improving the computations with having the ability to process these videos in near to real time. That is one of the major areas that we are working on, because we need the predictions to be done in a near to real time manner, because it is essential in a real world game to do the predictions in no time. So that is one of the major areas that we are working on, to do these predictions in near to real time with with like the models that is having much lower weight. That means models which is not such complex, that is getting like several hours to compute. So that is the area that we are leading the research on, to building on near to real time video analytics systems that can understand human motion on videos.
So we had a very enlightening conversation about your project. And talking about machine learning in general, how important is machine learning to the future? What changes or advances do you expect to see in the next 10 to 20 years?
Yes, that is a very interesting question, because in some cases people have kind of like confusions with machine learning, and some people have some uh, considerations based on their privacy and those things that machine learning can do. People think machine learning will build terminators that can go for war and those things. There's a possibility of doing such things. So I'd say, like, in the coming years, one of the major improvements that machine learning or the AI or the deep learning, these industries should take over, is a concern on privacy and building models that is pretty interpretable and having the ability to preserve the privacy concerns that people are having. So that is one of the major research areas that people should work on with regards to machine learning. And the next thing is, we have seen, though we have got all these machine learning things going on, we need a huge learning curve to get into this area. So I'd say in the coming years, in coming 10, 20 years, there would be many chances for the general people too of using the power of machine learning and building machine learning models. I'd word this thing as democratizing machine learning. It's more like even a simple developer, even a first year undergrad, should be able to build a machine learning model and use that thing in the real world applications. So there would be many technological advancements in the areas like automated ML and drag and drop environments that we can use machine learning on that, and those things would be there. And one of the like another thing that I see with machine learning is having the ability to use machine learning in real world scenarios, rather than going for very futuristic applications. If there's many advancements that we can use in real world scenarios and make the humans more better life, that would be the advancement of the technology should be. So I'd say one of the major developments should be on privacy, and the other thing would be making some rules and regulations on the area of machine learning to make it a more better for the humankind or the mankind. Those things need to be developed. That means right now we are handling something like nuclear power. It's kind of like it is going to be the next most important power in the future world. So obviously we need some concerns about privacy as well as some regulations. That is the areas that I see as need to be improved in the coming years.
All right, so thank you for that clarification. So I have a bit of a side question. So you mentioned that in the public, there's a bit of a confusion, regarding like if machine learning is going to bring forward terminators and all that. So what we see in machine learning right now, or artificial intelligence, is mostly narrow AI. So do you see, any developments that could bring forward general purpose artificial intelligence on that side in the recent times?
Uh, that is bit of a hard questions to answer because when it comes to general AI, uh, it is we can't say it's a science fiction now because with the advancements of reinforcement learning and such technologies, I'd say not very complex general AIs, but in a way there might be some areas that we can use general AIs. But in the next case of like terminators and those things, that is like the the top highest thing that we can think of. But when it comes to the countries like China, they are using some narrow AI, like as you call like narrow AI technologies, to do some influence on people, to understand, to I would say like it's kind of like invading their privacy. So rather than going on to that terminator level, so they are invading the privacy of human, and surveillance and everything is happening. So more than like getting the fear of general AIs and like development of that, the technologies that we have currently with narrow AI is also doing some bad in some ways. So we need some answer for that. So for the question that you asked, general AI, is that going to be in the coming year? With my prediction, or like with my view, it's not the very near future, but it can be there in some time. I'd say I'm not sure whether it's going to take 10 years or whether it's going to be within 1 or 2 years, but it's not going to be a science fiction. There would be some advancement in the technology to get to that general AI capabilities.
Machine learning, deep learning, and AI are topics that many undergraduates are interested in. So, where do you recommend an undergraduate to start following their passion?
Yes, I have seen many undergraduates talking on and working on machine learning, data science, and those areas. So I'd say the main starting point is getting to know the technology, mainly the computer science, as well as bit of mathematics and general knowledge. So those three areas are very essential on getting into that AI or the deep learning, or you name it, machine learning developments. So the main suggestion I can make it is getting to know computer science as well as do self-learning. That is the most essential part of getting into this area, because I have seen there are many online courses which is very good, and you can follow those things to get a good idea on how these technologies are working and what are the things that we need to learn on those things. So start self-learning and start reading and doing experiments by your own in the spaces like Kaggle, and that would be a great start to getting into the industry.
So, we had a really insightful conversation today. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Haritha Thilakarathne.
And thank you, Timira, for getting me involved with this interesting discussion. So I'd like to express my gratitude for IEEE Techno Meetup of having this kind of interesting conversation. And for you folks, I'd be rather happy to talk with you guys on your projects and everything that involves with AI, machine learning, deep learning, and such technologies. You can reach me out on any social media channel, and my website is haritha.me, so you can reach me out there. And also I encourage you to involve with IEEE Techno Meetup to showcase your interesting projects for the world and build a better career. Thank you.
So, once again, Mr. Haritha, thank you for sharing your experience with us. And also, our audience, thank you for tuning in. Finally, we have an opportunity for anyone who is currently working on a machine learning project. If you are working on or have completed a machine learning project recently, click the link in the description down below and submit details about your project. We are willing to feature your projects in our upcoming videos. If you want to learn more about machine learning, tune in to our live monthly webinar and follow our Facebook page for more updates.